Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm Julie Chavdi, the Associate Director of Health and Wellbeing with the WorkWell Center and your host for today. And welcome to Eat Well Bites, sponsored by the USC Healthy Campus Eat Well Subcommittee. Today's topic is on utilizing nutrition for the everyday athlete. Throughout today's session, you're welcome to use a chat to make comments or ask questions about today's topic. And at the end, we'll have some Q&A, share upcoming announcements, and also have a survey for you to fill out along with raffle prizes. So please make sure you're muted to minimize any background noise. Next slide. I'd like to thank our Eat Well co-leads, Professor Carrie Kreutzer with the USC Leonard Davis School of Gerontology and Keck School of Medicine, and Lindsay Pine, dining dietitian with USC Hospitality. And on behalf of USC's Healthy Campus Eat Well Subcommittee, we're excited to continue Eat Well Bites, which are monthly bite-sized nutrition education webinars occurring the first Thursday of every month, with the goal to provide you with the tips, resources, and support to help you improve your health and quality of life through nutrition and healthy eating habits. So over the next 30 minutes, we'll be sharing our expertise around with engaging you on this very important topic. I also like to thank the members of the Eat Well Subcommittee, many of you are on today, for all your hard work in creating a health-promoting food environment at USC. And you'll hear more about the resources that the group has been working on today. And next slide, as always, feel free to stand, stretch, move during today's session in whatever manner feels best for you. And next slide. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Rachel Suba, who is the Director of Sports Nutrition, USC Student Health Tech Medicine of USC. Welcome, Rachel, and we're so excited to have you today.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So I have a lot of content in a very short time, so bear with me, but please, if you guys have questions throughout, please, say them, speak them out loud, or put them in the chat, and we will certainly go through those. So in my role, I am a registered dietitian and a board certified specialist in sports nutrition. So this board certified specialist is I took another board exam and it says that I'm specialized in sports nutrition, and it's extra money and extra exams to take. But in my role, both of those things help me be an expert in the field to support our student athletes here at USC from a fueling and hydration standpoint. Kind of a little bit about my background briefly. I was born and raised in Ohio, went to school for culinary arts first, actually, and figured out that was more of a hobby than a career. And so I took a pivot, thought I had a failure, but it wasn't. It was just redirecting me. Went on to get my undergrad, got my master's, worked in corporate wellness for a little bit, but then fortunate enough to start my sports nutrition experience at the University of Oklahoma in Norman. Was there for 6.5, 7 years. And then when Lincoln Riley got brought here, he brought me with him. And so now I'm here. So super excited to share with you guys a little bit about what we do here at USC and then things that you can apply to your everyday. So sports nutrition, for those of you that aren't familiar with the things that we do, it is the easiest way to summarize it is we manage the fuel supply. So everything that our athletes consume from food, hydration, whether it's at home, on the road, is our main priority to not only feed them and fuel them, but enhance performance. And we are accountable for results. So we're not on the field scoring the touchdown or shooting the basket, but we are helping them, change their body composition, fuel appropriately to make sure that they are optimizing their performance. And so that takes them, far beyond just the field. We evaluate their individual needs. We also do team education. We do different type of proactive approaches. So all of our athletes get tested and get certain supplementation or vitamin supplementation to support them based on their lab work. We do body composition testing, all types of areas to assess them as an individual. And then two larger pieces are operational education. So everything that we do, we try to aim at educating the athletes. So if you think about 18 to 22-year-olds, You have to be creative in ways that kind of bridge the gap of maybe where their knowledge is and where you want them to be. And so ways that we do this is through signage, doing team education when we travel. We work with hotels and make sure that the menus are at their peak. And all of this is to help them optimize performance. But the last piece is that they eat for the rest of their life. And so part of our pillars is to meet them where they are. So if they're never had a vegetable in their life, which we've seen, to someone who eats super rigid and maybe too rigid, and so meeting them where they are to help them advance, their performance, including all foods. So all foods fit approach. We're never going to tell a student athlete that they can't have something. We're going to educate on the right portions, the right timing. Fried chicken's great, but it's not great for a game or match. And so how can we educate them on that? And then that last piece that is super impactful is fueling them for sport, but then life after. They're going to eat for the rest of their life. Everyone eats. So how can you impact them on ways that they can take beyond just their sport? Here at USC, we have 6 full-time dietitians, and we also have a nutrition fellow, and very fortunate to have a 1 dietitian per 100 student athlete ratio, which is the national standard across the country. We also have students that are the bread and butter of our program. They help make smoothies, stock fridges, do all of the operational things so that us as dietitians can educate and do the things that we're credentialed for. Every sport team has their own fueling station, their own dietitian, and so they get individualized care regardless of what sport they are. Some of the things that we do provide along with that education that I mentioned is fueling plans. Some people might call it a meal plan. And so this is just an example of what this might look like that our athletes receive. It's very individualized. We periodize it throughout the year. So if it's in season, out of season, one thing you'll notice is there's no calories or macronutrients or grams on here. We're super big on being food focused. We do all of the math behind the scenes and then want them to focus on fueling and optimizing, not having to count calories. So that's the fast track version of what we do here at USC. And now I kind of want to put it towards you all and what you all can apply. So when it comes to food, a big thing that, I like to emphasize is rethinking your why. So what is food to you? Every athlete I meet with, I ask them, what do you like about food? What does food mean to you? And so it's different for everyone. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be your heritage. It could just be something you have to do. And so when we think of food, we always want to increase the positive association around it versus the negative, which is the diet culture, don't eat this, eat that type of approach. And that is something that we definitely do not emphasize. So finding out your why helps you kind of pinpoint, okay, if I really think food is a chore, maybe I can bridge the gap of things. I don't eat lunch, but it's a chore to me. So how can you engage in adding lunch into your day? So the first pillar of nutrition I like to go over is breakfast. So this is important. I'm sure all of you have heard before, family or, your parents, your grandparents said breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And it is for a number of reasons. If, the research supports that if you eat breakfast, you can actually balance out the rest of your day. You eat better and you actually can optimize all of your goals by having breakfast. So 3 simple steps to breakfast is in how we educate our athletes as well, is a fruit or vegetable. So the easiest way for breakfast, unless you're making an omelet, we have a dining hall that makes omelets. If they're not making me an omelet, I'm not having a vegetable, so don't feel bad. But fruit is a really easy thing. An apple, a banana, a cup of berries. Adding in that second component of a carbohydrate or a whole grain. So cereal, bagel, toast, and then topping it off with protein. So all 3 of these together are going to be a balanced, sustainable breakfast to start your day. Here are some easy ways to balance out your breakfast. And these are all things that we educate our athletes on, and they're super cost effective and low cooking time. I think the omelet would be the longest time to cook and super, individualized. If you like to make an omelet, more power to you. When I get up at, 4 a.m., 3:30, I'm not making an omelet at that time. Then the second component that is super important for all individuals is protein. So protein has a lot of misconceptions. Most people think that protein is going to make you big and bulky. As a female, if you have too much protein, you're going to gain weight. Protein is actually the secret weapon to maintaining satiety, so satisfaction at meals, in between meals. But then also from if you're trying to lean out, or some people say, I want to lose weight. Really what you're saying is you want to lose fat. You don't really want to lose weight because you don't want to lose muscle. Muscle's helpful. And protein is super beneficial for that process. So it's good for our immune system, muscle preservation, hair growth and nails. So, females, if you like your hair and nails to be nice, protein's that building block of that. And then hormones. So those are things that can be off balance by not having enough protein in the diet. And you can vary that protein from plant-based to animal-based, and a lot of options. Something I always like to say is, for protein, the less legs, the leaner. So what animal has the least amount of legs? A fish. To a cow has 4. So doesn't mean you shouldn't have beef. There's lean sources of it. But you can certainly have, varying your protein options, but choosing your chicken and your turkey and your fish more often than you choose your steak. Hydration is the next component. Hydration is super important. We tell our athletes it's within your control. So if you come in dehydrated, that is a shame on you. Water is 72% of your body. So there's so many things within your system that water is essential for, especially if you think of like a highway. If you think of a 2-lane highway versus a 4-lane highway, a 2-lane highway is going to get jammed up. Traffic's not flowing. It's the same way in your body. When you're hydrated, a 4-lane highway allows the blood to flow, the nutrients to go throughout your whole body. So hydration is super easy way to make sure you're getting all those things. If you're an active individual, maybe you run marathons, maybe you lift weights, do yoga or Pilates, around activity, you want to make sure that you're hydrating, and in the next slide, I'll talk through what that looks like. But a great way to make sure that you're hydrated, there's fancy tools that we use with our athletes. They pee in a cup and then we measure if they're hydrated or not. But checking the color of your urine, as silly as it sounds, is super helpful and it's super easy. So the best way to look at this is you do not want clear urine. So clear urine means that you have taken all the electrolytes out of your body, essentially, not all of them, but you've diluted and you need to add them back in. So that would be salting your foods, having salty snacks like Cheez-Its or pretzels, or drinking an electrolyte beverage. So lemonade color is kind of our goal. Apple juice is going to be dehydrated. If you're brown urine, you probably should be in the hospital. So don't get to that level. And then for those of you that are active, so before, during, and after activity, depending on the intensity, it's super important to make sure you're hydrating roughly about a 1 water bottle before, 30 minutes to an hour before. Then you want to sip consistently throughout your training. If it's over an hour, that's when electrolyte beverages are important and can be beneficial. And Gatorade and Powerade, even though they have sugar, the sugar is intended to absorb the electrolytes, and it's going to be energy if you train beyond that hour marker. And overall, you need about half your body weight in ounces for fluid. So if you break that up throughout the day, make it super simple for yourself, that's the best recommendation for fluids. Fruits and vegetables, this one, they're the secret weapon. We tell football that fruits and vegetables are like the O-line. They protect the quarterback. So fruits and vegetables protect your body, and they're a great way to decrease inflammation, decrease soreness, have your immune system be healthy and optimal. And then also, no one wants to get sick, so decreasing sickness as well. With fruits and vegetables, the greatest thing to remember is you want to vary the colors. So frozen, canned, and dried are all appropriate forms of fruits and vegetables. Frozen are not scary. They're actually frozen at the peak of ripeness. So they have just as much nutrients as fresh. Fresh can be really daunting because they go bad pretty quickly. I rarely buy fresh. I have a few vegetables and fruit that I buy. But most of the other options I get frozen because I live a very wild, crazy life, and I just will waste food. Canned is also not scary. The one thing that is usually incorporated is extra sodium if it's a vegetable. And then if it's like a fruit, sometimes you want to look for the package that says 100% fruit juice, or no added sugar. And that means that they are literally packaging that whole fruit and not adding anything to it. So eating often, this is my favorite thing. At the end, I'll summarize kind of some key factors of what you can do throughout your day. But eating often is the one thing most people do not do. I'm guilty of it. Ask my staff. We get busy with the day, and you're doing a project, you're working on something, and it's easy to forget to eat. And so eating for our athletes, we say 2 to 3 hours. For anyone who's active as well, 3 to 4. And that is just the best recommendation to optimize your energy, making sure that you're not losing muscle. When you don't fuel or consume food often, your body goes directly to your muscle. So first it goes to the glycogen, all the carbs that you have stored, which is the fancy term for eventually you're going to lose muscle. And that's not any beneficial component to do. I wish it went to fat first, but it doesn't. So making sure consistent fueling allows the body to have good energy, get you through the day, and also keeps your intake at an optimal level. So portion sizes, in addition to consistent fueling, is super helpful. This is just an example of, this doesn't mean you should only have one baseball size of pasta. Don't hear me say that, but this is a great, just a view. With our athletes, we like to use a hand guide, and I'll go through that in the next picture. But this one just shows you, especially with like peanut butter, the serving size doesn't mean you only have one, but a serving size of 2 tablespoons is a golf ball size. So when we think of how much we eat, the volume versus what's served maybe at a restaurant, what we fill our plates with, these are great ways to kind of see where we're fueling. Going on to the hand guide. So, and kind of looking at, for an athlete specific or an active individual, your plate at meals should vary based on the intensity of a workout or what you're doing that day. So an average individual would be an easy training day. So that's about 2 fists of fruits or vegetables on the plate, about a palm size of protein. With protein, I forgot to mention, about a palm size is all your body can digest in one sitting. Now, if you're a 300-pound lineman, or if you're over the age of 50, usually you need more because your absorption rate decreases as you age. But a larger individual can go up to 40 grams, which would be like 2 palm sizes. And then that last component would be about a fist size of carbs. So carbs are not scary. They do not make you fat. In fact, the science says that carbs burn in the flame. Fat burns in the flame of carbs. So you actually need carbs in order to burn fat. So carbs in a moderate amount are helpful. They have a lot of nutrients, they have fiber, and they're going to add kind of a balanced component to this plate. Again, the moderate and hard training is very, very varied based on your intensity of what you might be doing. And our athletes follow this based on what they need to fuel. So when you look at kind of the food groups that were just on the last slide, all of them have a super important benefit. We talked about fruits and vegetables already and protein, but like I mentioned, carbs are not scary. They are the energy source for the body, the brain. The brain actually uses about 30% of the carbs that it consumes just on the brain. So it's the most amount of any part of the body. So when you have brain fog or you have a headache, you might want to think about what you've eaten that day or the past week, because it might be related to that. Healthy fats, those are not to be overlooked on the plate. Those are great ways to get fat soluble vitamins, decrease inflammation, increase longevity, and also help with the skin. And then hydration, we talked about that a little bit before. And then this is a fun part, as our athletes or active individuals, post training or workouts or a run, you want to make sure that you're replenishing what you've burned or broken down. So If it's a run or a lift, this may vary a little bit, but there's 4 major components that you want to focus on immediately post training, no more than about 30 minutes to an hour. So you always want to have a carbohydrate, a protein, something with fluids and electrolytes, and then something that reinforces a antioxidant component like a fruit or vegetable. A great example of this is chocolate milk with maybe tart cherry juice, not mixed together, separate, because the chocolate milk is going to have that balance of the carbs, the protein, the electrolytes, the fluids, and then that cherry juice is going to have your antioxidant component. Let's not forget about sleep. Sleep is super important. Recovery is a 24-hour process, so making sure you're shooting for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's very hard, but it's a super impactful and it's free to recover the body. Last thing real quick for supplements. I don't know if anyone's interested in supplements or taking them, but they're a great way to supplement the diet if necessary. So we always want to go for a food first approach. And the diet in general, when consumed through food solely, is going to be beneficial. It's going to be absorbed better. Supplements are not regulated, so they're super scary, especially for athletes, collegiate or professional, causing potential positive drug tests, or having things in supplements that they're actually not aware of. So supplements can be scary, but they can be helpful when used appropriately. This is my favorite picture of why food over supplements are best. If you look at the left side, that's a palm-sized piece of grilled chicken versus the right side is a amino acid supplement. So all those amino acids are more abundant in the chicken. The chicken is absorbed better. It's cheaper, and it's not just taking a pill. So this is a great example of why just real food is better. So to kind of summarize how to maintain your nutrition game and intentionally fuel is the quality, quantity, and timing. And so making sure those 3 things are incorporated, you can optimize your daily intake. So some fun pictures of what we do here at USC and how we make fueling fun, and engage our athletes. So that's the fast version. I think I was over 7 minutes, but I tried to go fast. So does anyone have questions?
We do have questions, Rachel, and thank you so much. Such a fun and important job you have. So I'll just shoot them at you here. There was a question about the part you were talking about protein for maximum protein servings for athletes, those under 50 and those over 50. Can you repeat how many grams again?
Yes. So average person should have a palm size, which is 20 to 30 grams. And then over the age of 50, you can go up to 40, or if you're over the 300 pounds.
Great. What is your perspective on nutritional supplements for student athletes? What should they take and which ones should they stay away from?
Yeah, so I didn't put this on here, but the label on a supplement that's called NSF is the best way. It's a third-party tested label. There's a few others as well, but NSF is the gold standard. And whenever an athlete wants to take a supplement, you want to look for that label. If it doesn't have that label, there's a chance that that supplement is not going to have been reviewed, because when a supplement goes on the market, no one makes sure that it's good quality. There's a variety of supplements out there. Creatine, if you're a responder, is helpful for men and women. And then also protein powders if it's convenient, but using just whole like cow's milk or plant-based milk is more beneficial. But there's so many options out there. Supplement industry is insane.
This person asks, I've heard that if you ingest too much protein, it turns into sugar, which is not good for you. Is that just a myth?
So an excess of any macronutrient can cause, weight gain. So in theory, that is not the correct component. There is elements that you will pee out, but you also store. All macronutrients in excess is not good. So it depends also on kind of your age, and then if you have pre-existing conditions, there's components there, but it does not turn to sugar, no.
What would you recommend to someone who isn't hungry at a meal, like breakfast or lunch, but shouldn't skip a meal? Should they eat something anyways?
Yes, so the best way to do that is fluid. So whether that's a smoothie, something that is easily digested, like applesauce, though having a chocolate milk or milk, something, or protein shake, something that won't be upsetting to the stomach. And usually that's a sign that someone hasn't previously been eating consistent. So you want to start small and then work your way up. So maybe for a week you have half a smoothie, and then eventually you can work your stomach up. Your gut is like a muscle, you have to train it.
What kind of metrics do you look at in athletes to know that you're succeeding in their nutrition?
That's a great question. That's a whole nother presentation, but we do body composition testing. So we track their changes in muscle and fat mass. We also track their knowledge. So, right now for football, we're in off season. So their education, beginning of off season versus the end, their application of it, their engagement with us. We also do a lab work. So like if they're taking their vitamin D supplement, their labs should get better. So there's a various amount of things that we assess.
What do you think of for recreational athletes taking creatine supplements?
So creatine is beneficial for all individuals that are active. It should only be taken on days that training occurs. So like if it's a Sunday, you're not doing anything, you shouldn't take it. But the weird thing is that creatine you can be a non-responder similar to caffeine in the body. So if you've taken it and you're a recreational athlete and you've never seen a benefit, you probably are a non-responder and you're just wasting your money. But it can be beneficial, mostly surrounding like weight training, and building phases of any type of sport is the best time for it.
3 more questions, Rachel. Protein powder versus plant-based protein powder. How do you tell a good protein powder?
So that NSF supplement, or just a nutrition facts label, means it's considered a food, is going to be good. There's different types. There's a whey isolate. There's just whey protein. It depends on your goals. So there's a gold standard protein powder out there that's a whey isolate. So it's just protein. There's no carbs in it. You want to look for about a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio of carbs. If you're an avid exerciser or you do a lot of weight training, and more of the whey isolates. If you're just looking for something to add to a smoothie, that would be mostly a protein source because you're probably adding fruit or honey to that smoothie as well. I would suggest really anything that has that carb protein combo, and then just the protein if you're needing that as well.
What is your opinion on consuming beetroot juice to improve nitric oxide levels as a pre-workout?
We provide those to our student athletes and they love them. So we actually we mix it with Powerade and then they get it right before a workout. And about an hour before is recommended. And it could cause GI distress and you'll probably have bright red urine. So don't be scared. It's very normal, but it is helpful to be consumed around, especially endurance type activities.
And last question, and this is probably a whole nother lecture, but I have a couple of direct messages here about fasting. Thoughts on fasting?
Oh my goodness. So fasting for females or women is highly not recommended. We have a lot of different hormones. It's not beneficial. Your body is better. Women are better in a fed state. There is some evidence to show that males do respond to fasting. There's a lot of fasting components and a lot of things to do. You have to be super smart. It's not just skipping meals. However, if you're an athlete or you're active, it's not recommended. So it can be helpful in certain cases, but I would not recommend following it.
Great. Thank you so much for the questions and thank you for answering them, Rachel. If you can move forward on the slides, we just have a couple of announcements that we wanted to make before we wrap up today. I'd like to introduce Lindsay Pine, our campus dining dietitian.
Sorry, here, trying to turn my video on. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Rachel. So the Eat Well Subcommittee, in partnership with USC Hospitality, recently launched the Eat Well Meals. And these Eat Well meal guidelines were developed with nutrient-rich ingredients, flavor, and balance in mind. And they can be found at locations in the center of the UPC campus, And then also at 2 venues over at the HSC campus. And you can identify these meals because they have an Eat Well icon on the dining app, kiosks, and also on signage. These are just a few pictures here of some of the options that we have. Next slide, please. So here, I just wanted to mention that the Eat Well subcommittee is also seeking recipes from USC faculty and staff to create an Eat Well cookbook. We are looking for a variety of recipes from our faculty and staff to showcase our campus community's rich cultures. And if you don't think your recipe is healthy, don't worry, we want you to submit it anyways. We have experts to identify optional ingredient swaps that can be shown alongside the original recipe to help faculty and staff make choices that meet the needs of their well-being. So please submit your recipes.
And next slide, to share our next Eat Well Bites, we have our very own Lindsay Pine next month, along with Chef Keith Shuta, on learning how to put together cost-effective culinary choices. So please join us for that. And then for May, we have Sugar Proof, the dangers of added sugar. And then we'll be continuing through the summer and fall based on popular demand. Thank you all. And our very last slide, if you all don't mind filling out our evaluation form, the link is in the chat, or you can use the QR code. We would love your feedback, future suggestions for topics for Eat Well Bites, and any suggestions you have for all of us. And with that, we'll stop sharing. And Carla will be spinning the wheel to pick our lucky raffle winner. And Suzanne will be in touch with you to coordinate delivery of your raffle prize. So thank you for entering the raffle, everyone, and for being here today. And let's see who our lucky winner is. Erica, congratulations, Erica. I don't know if we know your last name, so please reach out to us so we know who you are. And with that, thank you all for attending Eat Well Bites, and we'll see you next month.